Welcome to the Uncanny Valley podcast.
It's great to be diving into this one.
Today we're taking you on an immersive journey into a really unsettling intersection of real-world conflict and, well, a hidden ancient horror.
Yeah, it's quite something.
Imagine, if you will, the utter chaos of war-torn Mosul in 2016, a city gripped by the iron fist of ISIL.
A truly brutal situation on the ground.
Now picture something far more ancient, far more terrifying, stirring beneath its very foundations, an evil that doesn't just, observe human conflict, but actively feeds on it.
We're going to unpack a remarkable collection of documents for you today. Documents that reveal a secret operation, a clandestine struggle against an entity so old it predates recorded history itself.
Predates history, wow.
Yeah, this isn't just about geopolitics, the rise and fall of modern extremist groups, so that's definitely part of it. It's about what lurks in the shadows when humanity is at its most vulnerable.
Like when the very fabric of society is tearing apart.
Exactly. It's a chilling look at how easily ancient evils can find purchase in modern chaos. It's quite disturbing when you get into the details.
We've assembled a stack of sources ranging from, well, granular historical accounts of ISIL's rise and daily life under their rule to detailed briefings on supernatural entities.
And the shadowy intelligence agencies scrambling to contain them, often working against each other as much as the threat.
Right. Our mission for you is to extract the most critical insights and surprising facts from all this material, give you a shortcut to understanding this complex, chilling, and frankly, utterly bizarre narrative.
So buckle up.
Because here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our story begins in Mosul, Iraq, 2016. For many of us, that name immediately conjures images of the brutal presence of the Islamic State, or ISIL. But before we get to the supernatural angle, we really need to understand the human crucible, right? The conditions that would allow something far worse to emerge. How did ISIL even manage to take root in Mosul? And what was daily life like under their absolute rule?
It's absolutely crucial to understand the context here, the history, the politics. ISIL wasn't an overnight phenomenon, not at all. Their genesis is deeply, tragically tied to the aftermath of the 2003 U.S. overthrow of Saddam Hussein.
Okay, the invasion.
Yes, and specifically, it was the subsequent dismantling of the Ba'ath Party government, the whole de-Baathification policy, that truly set the stage. Imagine for a moment thousands of predominantly Sunni military officers, bureaucrats.
People with skills, with influence.
Exactly. Suddenly stripped of their livelihoods, their status, their entire careers.
Well,
gone. Many of these individuals, feeling dispossessed, humiliated, and deeply resentful, naturally joined various resistance cells against the U.S. occupation.
it's a fertile ground for extremism.
Intensely fertile, often bloody ground. This period, from 2003 onwards, was where the seeds of what would eventually become ISIL were not just sown, but actively cultivated. It was a mess.
So how did they go from being disparate resistance cells to, capturing a major city like Mosul?
Well, let's trace their calculated and surprisingly rapid rise to power. After the U.S. troop surge in 2007, which did push back the insurgency for a time.
The Anbar Awakening, right? Working with Sunni tribes.
That's part of it, yeah. But many of these Ba'athist-inspired resistance groups were effectively driven out of Iraq by early 2011. The question becomes, where did they go?
Syria?
Bingo. Many found shelter in a strategic haven in neighboring Syria. Ironically, a state that shared a Ba'ath Party political culture, but governed by a rival faction, the Alawite minority, essentially Shia.
Okay.
Here, they significantly gained strength, not fighting the U.S. anymore, but by fighting the Syrian Ba'athist government in the burgeoning civil war. This experience hardened them, expanded their networks, gave them invaluable combat experience against a conventional army. They learned a lot.
And then they turned back towards Iraq.
Their greatest coup, came in 2014, back in Iraq. The Mosul coup. It was, well, shocking. Humiliating for the Iraqi government.
You're shocked.
Against all odds, a seemingly small force, just 1,500 ISIL fighters, managed to rout over 60,000 Iraqi troops.
60,000? How is that even possible?
They largely collapsed and fled. Corruption, poor leadership, low morale, sectarian divisions within the army, it all played a part. ISIL swiftly seized control of Mosul.
A Sunni majority city.
Yes, a city with a Sunni majority population that had long harbored deep-seated resentment towards the Shia-led government in Baghdad. This wasn't just a military victory, it was a strategic and psychological masterstroke.
Capitalizing on those existing grievances.
Absolutely. Widespread corruption, profound government distrust. It solidified their control over a major urban center, gave them a de facto capital in Iraq, complementing their base in Raqqa, Syria. Suddenly, they controlled vast territory, resources, millions of people.
It's hard to even wrap your head around that level of collapse and, well, exploitation. So once they had Mosul, what was it actually like to live under the caliphate in 2016?
Our sources paint a truly chilling picture, far beyond just religious rules.
Oh, far beyond.
What's one detail that truly shocked you about daily life there? Something that perhaps even laid the groundwork for something else to thrive, something beyond mere human cruelty.
What emerged in Mosul wasn't just authoritarian, it was, as our sources describe it, nothing short of a genocidal police state.
Genocidal.
Yes, beyond the superficial religious trappings, ISIL enforced this brutal, literalist, and apocalyptically tinged interpretation of the Quran. This wasn't simply about Sharia law, it was a radical redefinition of who was truly Muslim.
Meaning?
All non-ISIL Sunnis, and especially Shias, were viewed as apostates, kuffar, which meant they could be attacked, killed, robbed, enslaved, or imprisoned without any religious protection whatsoever. So your neighbor could decide you weren't devout enough?
Pretty much. It created this terrifying reality where your very existence, your right to life and property, could be forfeited if you didn't conform to their extreme, constantly evolving ideology. The psychological toll, unimaginable, constant paranoia.
And how did they maintain control? Just fear?
Absolute control,
Yeah.
Backed by relentless propaganda and extreme violence. The streets of Mosul, surprisingly, were impeccably clean.
Clean amidst all that.
Yeah, but not a civic pride. It was due to pervasive threats, imprisonment, corporal punishment, public execution. Our sources describe things like flogging for smoking cigarettes.
For smoking.
A seemingly minor offense, right? But the punishments were designed to instill absolute terror. Sometimes, to really drive the point home about repeat offenders, severed heads were grotesquely displayed with cigarettes still stuck between their lips.
That's just visceral. Unbelievable.
Essential services like water, gas, electricity, they were functional, but again, maintained under constant threat. Severe penalties for city workers who failed at their jobs. This facade of order was meticulously constructed on a foundation of pure, unadulterated terror. The fear was almost palpable,
I can only imagine. And beyond that, the public brutality must have been a daily horror show.
A daily spectacle of horror, yes. Large intersections, traffic circles, once just normal city spots, became gruesome stages, displaying the bodies of executed individuals.
Of course, laughed out.
Often left for days in the scorching sun, a public warning. Heads frequently piled separately from the bodies, or whole cadavers left hanging from overpasses, designed to be seen by everyone. The omnipresent smell of death, our sources say, was inescapable in these locations.
God, the psychological impact, especially on kids.
Exactly. Imagine walking past that every single day. It was a deliberate strategy to crush the spirit of the population,
Right.
break them completely.
And then there's the other notorious aspect, the destruction of ancient sites.
Ah, yes, the archaeological destruction. ISIL gained international notoriety for systematically smashing idols, destroying ancient artifacts. They used these acts for propaganda, showing their piety.
But wasn't there hypocrisy involved too?
Oh, absolutely. While loudly proclaiming their piety, they also secretly sold many other priceless pieces on the black market to fund their war efforts. Classic move.
So destroy some for the cameras, sell others quietly.
Precisely. This act of iconoclasm, the deliberate destruction of images, symbols of past cultures, it's a key theme we'll keep returning to. It's an erasure of history, severing people from their past. And, as we'll see, it had unforeseen, terrifying consequences. They were literally digging into ancient foundations, completely unaware of what they might unearth.
So a city under a vice grip, rife with political tension, brutal enforcement, the past being destroyed, the future built on terror. That truly sets the stage for the next layer, doesn't it? Where human conflict opens doors to other kinds of horror.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the geopolitical context here cannot be overstated. The deep-seated Sunni Shia schism fueled so much of this. Iraq, for instance. For decades, a Shia majority, maybe 60–65%, but ruled by Saddam's secular Sunni Ba'athist government.
Right.
Then you have Iran to the east, overwhelmingly Shia, aggressively seeking to expand its influence into Iraq after 2003.
Filling the vacuum.
Exactly. And Syria, Iraq's northwestern neighbor, overwhelmingly Sunni population, but ruled by Assad's secular Shia, Alawite, Ba'ath party. It's incredibly complex.
A total powder keg.
The whole region was, A messy, volatile tangle of shifting allegiances, bitter rivalries. Yesterday's enemy could genuinely be today's transactional ally, just trying to get ahead in a brutal game. This environment of profound mistrust, desperation, total war, it becomes incredibly critical for understanding what lies beneath the surface of Mosul. The chaos provided not just opportunity, but, well, sustenance for the father of war.
Okay, you've painted a vivid and frankly deeply disturbing picture of Mosul under ISIL. But as our sources reveal, there was something else entirely unsettling lurking beneath the city's foundations. Something ancient, unnatural, that was unwittingly unleashed. Tell us about this entity, this father of war.
The documents describe a profoundly horrific entity, known in ancient Assyria as Shagash, often called the god of slaughter.
God of slaughter, cheery.
Right. Its most fervent cultists, though, called it Abim Anuntum, which chillingly translates to the father of war. And this isn't just a metaphor, for the horrors of conflict. It's a physical, malevolent manifestation of violence and bloodlust, an entity that actively feeds on human suffering and seeks to spread it like a plague. Its purpose is war.
How? How does something like that even come into existence?
Its origins are deeply unsettling. Rooted in the very act of killing. It was worshipped in ancient Assyria, and its cult used obsidian extensively in their rituals. Slaughter, sacrifice.
Obsidian, like volcanic glass.
Exactly. And what's truly fascinating and terrifying is that each chip, each flake, struck from the obsidian when creating lethal weapons. It wasn't just waste material. Our sources indicate it held a grain of consciousness of the Father.
A piece of its mind in every shard.
Something like that, yeah. Once enough of these chips accumulated, they weren't just inert minerals. They began to move of their own volition, imbued with its spirit, coalescing into something far greater and more terrifying.
And its physical form, what does it look like?
The entity's manifestation is bone-chilling. It appears by night as a swirling whirlwind of razor-sharp obsidian shards.
A whirlwind made of glass blades.
Essentially, yeah. Our sources say it's capable of flaying the skin off human beings in mere seconds, leaving only bloody bones behind. Imagine the sound of that, thousands of tiny razor-sharp blades moving at impossible speed.
Nightmare fuel, and it only appears at night.
Crucially, yes. It never stirs by day. Its reign of terror is confined to the darkness, makes it all the more insidious, harder to fight, especially in a war-torn city under curfew. It thrives in the shadows, literally and figuratively.
So a literal storm of blaze that only comes out at night.
Yeah.
And what about its demands? How does one even worship something so inherently destructive?
Its demands are as gruesome as its appearance. It requires human sacrifices. But not just any death. It prefers victims to be killed slowly, agonizingly, with obsidian blades.
To prolong the suffering.
Exactly. That suffering is what it draws sustenance from. And it actively seeks new worshippers through this perverse ritual called the Vigil of Stone.
Vigil of Stone.
This involves forcing individuals to swallow a chip of obsidian, thereby accepting the Father into their soul and body. This isn't really a choice. It's a forced conversion, a parasitic bond.
And if you disobey, or try to reveal its secrets,
the consequences are horrific. That swallowed chip of obsidian slices its way relentlessly to the heart, killing the traitor in a truly agonizing internal manner. It's a constant, agonizing reminder of their forced allegiance, a built-in kill switch.
Jesus. So where was this thing all this time, if it's so ancient?
For thousands of years, this entity wasn't free. It was imprisoned within a sacred bronze amphora known ominously as the Throne of Blood.
The Throne of Blood, okay.
This artifact was traditionally carried by Assyrian armies, presumably as a symbol or maybe even a source of their devastating power. It was sealed by a rebellious priest using a version of the Elder Sign.
The Elder Sign. I've heard references to that in certain kinds of fiction.
It appears in occult lore, yeah. A powerful sigil known to be potent against certain otherworldly powers. It effectively locked the Father of War away from the world, a forgotten terror, until Mosul 2016.
And the worshippers, the Sons of War.
Becoming a son means accepting the Father, swallowing that chip, becoming an instrument of its will, dedicated to spreading war and blood. Their minds are twisted, their purpose warped.
And what's the first thing it makes them do?
The first demand from these new acolytes, once they've embraced the Father, is transport. Take it to a suitable temple, a secure lair safe from sunlight. Buildings are okay, but ancient caves are best. Places where the sun's purifying light cannot reach.
Which tells us about its weakness, sunlight.
Exactly. It gives us a clue about its vulnerabilities, its strategic preferences for dark, hidden spaces, away from prying eyes and the sun.
So we have an ancient, malevolent entity, literally made of sharp obsidian, feeds on war, demands human sacrifice, sealed in an artifact for millennia. And it's accidentally unleashed in the middle of Mosul, 2016. A city already overflowing with violence, despair, death. The timing, I mean, it could not possibly be worse, could it?
It's almost cosmically bad timing.
It's like accidentally kicking open a portal to hell while trying to, I don't know, film a propaganda video.
Pretty much, yeah, indeed. The sheer volume of violence, the despair, the bloodshed, the trauma, the sheer number of deaths in Mosul at that specific moment. It would have been a veritable feast for such an entity.
An all-you-can-eat buffet of horror.
You could say that.
Yeah.
It would find incredibly fertile ground for its influence, a ready supply of recruits in desperate people, and an endless stream of victims to feed upon. This fusion of ancient horror with modern conflict raises profound, unsettling questions about the nature of war itself.
Is it purely human, or are there darker forces at play?
Exactly. Forces subtly manipulating, feeding on our worst impulses. The chaos provided not just opportunity, but a virtually limitless supply of sustenance for the father of war. It's the ultimate predator in its ideal hunting ground.
This isn't just a story about a monster, though. It's about the people caught in its orbit, those who unwittingly unleash it, those who try to contain it, and those who are forced to serve it. And our sources introduce us to some truly complex characters. Let's start with Tariq Mohammed Rassam, the man who is unwittingly guarding this ancient horror.
Rassam is a truly fascinating and ultimately tragic figure. A scholar, a reluctant caretaker of the unnatural. Our sources indicate he's been involved with these sorts of profound threats since at least 1940.
Since the 40s.
Yeah, secretly aiding British intelligence, even the OSS during World War II. Both organizations were, unbeknownst to many, secretly part of a shadowy organization known as Delta Green.
Delta Green, another name that pops up in certain circles.
Right. He was an intelligence asset for MI6, later the CIA, but his real expertise lay in the occult. Deciphering ancient texts, understanding forgotten horrors, he was an unsung hero, walking this tightrope between the mundane world and the monstrous.
So how did he end up with the Throne of Blood?
The story starts in 1983. A close friend from the University of Baghdad's Department of Archaeology consulted him about an ancient Assyrian bronze amphora. It was causing strange, bloody nightmares in anyone nearby.
The amphora.
Rassam, with his deep knowledge, immediately realized it was profoundly dangerous. This was the Throne of Blood. But this was during the brutal Iran-Iraq War, under Saddam Hussein's ruthless security state. He couldn't risk exposure.
And he couldn't contact Delta Green.
Apparently not, or it was too dangerous. So he took the terrifying decision to hide it in a bomb shelter beneath his home.
Hiding a god of slaughter under his house.
Can you imagine? He even performed arcane rituals, like something called the Flower of Dilmun, just to maintain his own vitality and sanity under the immense burden of being its fearful secret custodian.
What a weight to carry.
For decades. Then by 2016, with ISIL's brutal, systematic destruction of archaeological sites across Iraq, Rassam grew desperate. He truly feared its discovery, the inevitable catastrophic release of the father of war. He knew it would be very hungry for blood after millennia of imprisonment. He understood the stakes better than anyone, racing against time.
So a scholar trying to do good, caught in an impossible trap. But then came the ISIL Iconoclasts, and they inadvertently became the unwitting catalysts, ripping open a wound in reality.
Precisely. March 23, 2016, ISIL's Al-Hizbah, their religious police, targeted Rassam. They believe he was hiding idolatrous and blasphemous art and artifacts. Standard procedure for them.
And they sent a specific team.
Yeah, a team of foreign fighters. Often less useful in direct combat, but fluent in European languages, savvy with tech, media. Assigned to film the destruction for propaganda, recruitment videos for ISIL's online magazine, Dabiq.
Who are these guys?
Figures like Arshad Mahmoud, a British videographer, Gökhan Kurdar, an Australian Snapchat star, yes, really, Kizim Ademi, a Dutch student,
Yeah.
Alen Islamovic, a Bosnian graffiti artist, Idam Boumefta, a Belgian construction worker,
Yeah.
Khalid Ibrahim, a French construction worker, a real mix.
And many of them felt sidelined by ISIL.
Our sources suggest that, yeah. Some saw ISIL as just another oppressive authority, some harbored doubts. They were looking for someone to prove themselves, maybe. Get noticed.
And one of them opened the amphora.
Tragically, yes. One of them, perhaps out of recklessness or a desperate need to impress, maybe just sheer ignorance, pried open the bronze stopper of the Throne of Blood. That stopper, remember, inscribed with the powerful elder sign, the only thing holding the entity captive.
Yeah, boom.
With that fatal action, they unwittingly unleashed the father of war into a city already drowning in violence. That single decision, born of ignorance and zealotry, unimaginable, catastrophic consequences.
And what about the man who then became caught in the father of war's grasp? Colonel Ahmed al-Jabiri went from being a sharp counterintelligence officer to a terrifying cult leader. How does that transformation happen?
Al-Jabiri represents another tragic, chilling layer here. Initially, he was a former Iraqi intelligence service officer, a man of sharp intellect, ruthless efficiency, now leading ISIL's al-Dawla, their counterintelligence service.
So ISIL's secret police chief, basically.
You could say that. He was tasked with investigating the bizarre flayings and disappearances that began after the Father of War's release. A pragmatic man steeped in the realities of espionage, warfare. He initially suspected CIA psychological warfare, PSYOPs.
Couldn't conceive of an unnatural explanation.
It wasn't in his playbook.
All right.
However, a direct, terrifying confrontation with the Father of War changed everything.
He met it face to face, or shard to shard.
The details are grim, but yes.
Yeah.
He, along with his al-Dawla agents and a detachment of 20 Chechen mercenaries, were all forced to swear submission.
Yeah.
During the Vigil of Stone, each swallowed an obsidian sliver.
Forced conversion. The whole team.
The whole team. She became an unwilling cult leader, reborn into the Sons of War, his will enslaved.
And then he used his skills for the cult.
What's truly chilling is how he then used his sophisticated counterintelligence training to make the cult harder to detect, more insidious. He immediately stopped the practice of leaving flayed bodies, which had drawn attention.
Smart in a horrible way.
Very. Instead, he dismembered them, dumped the remains of the Tigris River south of the city, avoid discovery, avoid panic. More strategically, he began recruiting officers from ISIL's own security apparatus.
Infiltrating ISIL from within.
Subtly subverting the very forces that should have been hunting the cult. His sanity, our sources note, steadily eroded under the father's influence. Trading the terror of resistance for promises of victory, endless blood. He was effectively turning ISIL's own infrastructure, its intelligence, its security systems, against itself, all at the behest of this ancient evil.
So the Father of War wasn't just a brute force monster. It was adaptive, parasitic, learning to thrive within human systems of power.
Exactly. It's a strategic threat, not just a physical one.
This is a tale of profound unintended consequences, desperate measures. From Rassam, trying to protect the world, to the foreign fighters unleashing doom, to al-Jabiri, a man of power forced to serve a new, terrifying master. It shows how this unseen horror intertwines with human folly, ambition.
And it's these complex human motivations, these failures, that now force the hand of even larger global players to step into this shadow war. A conflict where the lines between statecraft and the occult just blur entirely.
The tension must have been immense for them personally.
Palpable. Rassam, even in his final moments, still tried to provoke his ISIL captors into killing him, rather than be consumed by the Father of War. Tried to deny it another meal, another host.
A final act of defiance.
And al-Jabiri, though serving his new master, still secretly holds out hope someone will find a way to defeat the demon. Our sources say he refrained from informing the father about the true contents of Rassam's hidden vault, the journals, the tablets.
Leaving clues, hoping someone would find them.
Perhaps. These are deeply human struggles against a profoundly inhuman threat, playing out on a stage where the lines between good and evil, loyalty and betrayal, are constantly blurred, almost to the point of breaking.
So we have this rapidly escalating supernatural threat in a city already overflowing with violence and spies, where every agency has its own agenda. How do you even begin to investigate something like this? Something that defies conventional understanding within such a complex, dangerous environment. Our sources revealed this complex network of clandestine operations, a true shadow war unfolding beneath the surface of the real war.
This is indeed where the world of intelligence agencies collides head-on with the occult. The primary organization tasked with containing this profound threat is known as the Program.
The Program. Sounds suitably anonymous.
Shadowy, highly compartmentalized entity operating within the U.S. government, acting with the quiet, deniable backing of various agencies, CIA, NSA, you name it. But they also interact with the Outlaws.
The Outlaws.
An older, more independent, less resource-rich iteration of Delta Green, the organization Rassam was originally allied with.
So 2 Delta Greens, one official, one rogue.
Sort of. They share the critical mission, contain unnatural threats, but vastly different methods. The program leverages the immense resources of the U.S. military intelligence complex, but it's constrained by bureaucracy, compartmentalization, need to know taken to extremes.
And the Outlaws.
Like Agent Sloan, who apparently brought the critical Rassam video to the program. They're independent, resourceful, often more flexible, but they lack the vast reach, the assets of their government-sanctioned counterparts. Both, however, understand the existential threat. They desperately want the Father of War contained, regardless of who gets the credit, you know.
How do the program agents even get started? What's the briefing like?
They receive a top-secret mission briefing. They watch recovered video of the Rassam incident, the raw footage of the Father of War's emergence.
They actually see it.
They see it. Our sources note they even suffer a profound psychological impact, described as a O1 SAN loss.
SAN loss, like sanity points.
It's terminology used in these circles, yeah. Signifies a very real, debilitating mental shock from witnessing something truly unnatural, horrifying. This isn't just a desk job. They were then tasked with Operation Bone Box.
Bone Box. Grim name.
Urgent mission. Investigate this incursion, contain it before it spreads beyond control, before it causes global panic, or worse.
So intelligence gathering in this chaotic environment sounds like an absolute nightmare. You're not just fighting a monster, you're playing multidimensional chess with highly suspicious, often self-serving intelligence agencies, all under extreme pressure. What does that actually look like for these agents on the ground?
It's an incredibly intricate web. Fraught with peril, conflicting agendas, the agents of Operation Bonebox must navigate this complex, often adversarial network.
Like who?
Well, the U.S. intelligence community, CIA, NSA, DIA, JSA, unparalleled technical intelligence, right? SIGINT, satellite photos, drone strikes. But their great weakness in Iraq, limited human intelligence on the ground. Human in. They often rely on allies for that.
Allies who have their own goals.
Exactly. Allies who frequently pass on intel tailored to their agendas, not necessarily what the U.S. truly needs for this specific, highly sensitive mission. It's a constant game of filtering truth from self-interest.
Who else is in the mix? The Iraqis.
The Iraqi Intelligence Service, the IS. Combating against ISIL, sure. But their history of Shia favoritism makes Sunni infiltration difficult. They're resented by many in Sunni-majority Mosul. They might have valuable local contacts, but they need U.S. tech to really capitalize. Then there's the Iraqi Special Operations Forces, ISAF, elite fighters, formidable, but also suffered from that Shia favoritism after the 2011 U.S. withdrawal. Led to sweeping arrests of Sunnis, further alienated the population, made them less effective in places like Mosul.
What about the Kurds?
The Assyrians, their security service. They have strong human networks in Mosul, contacts with Sunnis, Yazidis, Christians, unique insights, but small numbers, small budgets, good unofficial contacts with Mossad, interestingly, and they desperately need U.S. tech.
Mossad, the Israelis are involved.
Deep access to intel, their priorities. Weakening Iran, supporting Kurdish independence, they're masters of strategic information exchange, dealing in useful new intel that serves their specific interests, which may or may not align with Operation Bone Box.
Turkey, Iran, Syria.
Turkey's Beyti, the National Intelligence Organization, closely aligned with President Erdogan. Often close-fisted with intel unless it directly benefits Turkey, like intel on the Kurds, who they see as a major threat. Paradoxically, they have sources within ISIL due to past blind-eye policies, allowing jihadis to transit through Turkey. Problematic, but potentially vital.
And Iran and Syria.
The Quds Force from Iran, Syrian Military Intelligence Directorate, MEI, highly restricted access, deeply hostile to U.S. interest. Gaining intel requires bribery, blackmail, significant favors. They have deep contacts within Shia militias, even inside ISIL itself. Incredibly difficult, dangerous to approach.
This sounds impossible. The operational challenges must be immense.
Huge. Agents face constant dangers. Navigating ISIL checkpoints, avoiding patrols, dealing with the massive flow of refugees, the ever-present threat of friendly fire from coalition forces, and the critical need to avoid exposing the unnatural threat to outsiders. That could cause widespread panic, global catastrophe.
Keeping the secret is paramount.
Absolutely. Every request for intel, every military action carries significant risks of blowback. Compromise of the mission, loss of assets, exposure of the program itself. It's a constant high-stakes test of loyalty, leverage, with the world's fate hanging in the balance.
That's an extraordinary level of complexity, a multi-dimensional chess game where even your own pieces have secret agendas. So while these agents are playing that political game, how do they actually go about the direct investigation into the Father of War itself? How do you unearth ancient knowledge in this modern war zone? What secrets do they find?
This leads to the crucial discovery and interpretation of ancient knowledge, a true blending of archaeology and espionage. The core of the investigation involves retrieving crucial artifacts and documents from Rassam's house.
Back into ISIL territory? That sounds incredibly risky.
Highly risky infiltration mission, yeah. But these items are the key to understanding the Father of War.
What do they find?
First, Rassam's journals.
Yeah.
Handwritten. in the extinct Assyrian Aramaic language.
Assyrian Aramaic, so they need a specialist linguist just to read them.
Presumably, yes. They detail Rassam's decades of meticulous research into unnatural phenomena, rituals he mastered, historical details of Delta Green Ops, and critically, his growing fear of the throne of blood. His entries reveal its ominous connection to the lunar cycle and the father's ultimate vulnerability, shunning direct sunlight. These journals are an invaluable treasure trove, a field guide to horrors, essentially.
What else?
Then there are the winds unknown to a dad. This isn't a single book. It's hundreds of ancient clay tablets etched in old Assyrian cuneiform.
Clay tablets, like museum pieces.
Some were in Rassam's collection, but more languish in the basements of the British Museum and the Iraq Museum. A testament to humanity's incomplete understanding of its own past. These tablets describe unknown demons of the stars. These winds unknown to a dad being the chief old Assyrian storm god. They contain partial rituals.
Partial rituals.
Yeah, fragments. To conjure, propitiate, control these entities, including Shagash, the father of war. They even hint at methods to close the breach, banish them. It's a dangerous puzzle, trying to piece together a solution from fragments of forgotten terror.
Any other ancient texts involved?
Adding another layer, the investigation uncovers references to the Nyarlathotep manuscripts, ancient Greek magical papyri held in the National Library of Greece.
Greek, so connecting Assyrian and Greek lore.
It seems so. These hint at telepathic techniques, knowledge supposedly from godlike masters of a mythical city called Makotis. They also contain information on other terrifying entities, like Tsathoggua, who slumbers deep in the earth. The connections suggest a deeper, more ancient tapestry of cosmic horror, implying the father of war is just one thread in a far grander, more terrifying design.
So what vulnerabilities, what countermeasures do they piece together from all this?
This painstaking research ultimately reveals critical points. The entity is highly vulnerable to direct sunlight. A sudden, unexpected exposure could potentially banish it, though it would swiftly dig deeper if it sensed the light coming, like a burrowing beast.
Okay, sunlight is key. What else?
The Elder Sign. The sigil inscribed on the throne of blood stopper. It's incredibly potent against it. If a son of war approaches an Elder Sign, that obsidian chip inside them is painfully driven out, an immediate, agonizing defense.
So the symbol itself is like a weapon against the cultists.
It seems that way, yeah. But the most promising method for permanent success is learning and performing specific rituals, particularly the closing of the breach, the father of war.
The closing of the brief, how does that work?
It's intricate. Requires performing it in close proximity to the father. Involves chants to ancient gods Enlil, Inanna, Utu, and the ceremonial breaking of weapons. If successful, it would cause the obsidian chips making up the father to collapse harmlessly, neutralize it.
But doing that near the obsidian whirlwind sounds suicidal.
That's the immense challenge, of course, performing it without being slain. The sources suggest the father itself cannot approach the ritual operators once it begins, but the sons of war would certainly try to stop them.
And what about the amphora, the throne of blood? If the father is banished, is the threat over?
That's the lingering question. The amphora itself remains. It was crafted under the father's guidance as a gate. It's described as essentially a permanent conduit to the court of Azathoth.
Azathoth, it sounds bad.
One of the most terrifying outer gods in this cosmology, yeah? Its internal space is seemingly infinite. Flashlights can't detect a bottom. Reaching inside causes extreme pain vacuum, cold, radiation. Even if the father is gone, the amphora could potentially allow it to manifest again. Or something worse. At the whim of the outer gods it serves, the victory might only be temporary. The fight for containment might never truly be over.
The layering of ancient occultism over modern espionage is just mind-bendingly fascinating. It suggests that even in a world of advanced surveillance, weaponry, sometimes the oldest secrets, the most arcane knowledge, hold the key. It's a desperate race against time where forgotten history is the ultimate weapon. But it also begs the question, doesn't it? How much collateral damage, how many innocent lives are these intelligence agencies willing to risk or even sacrifice to contain a threat they can't publicly acknowledge?
That's the ethical tightrope they walk constantly. The calculations are grim.
Yeah. So, with the threat understood, the tools for combating it uncovered, the stage is set for a direct confrontation. But fighting an entity that preys on war in a war zone with its unique vulnerabilities, horrifying powers, it sounds like an impossible task. What do our sources tell us about taking on the father of war and its cult, the Sons of War?
It is an immense, multifaceted challenge, yeah. The father of war, especially under Colonel Al-Jabiri's tactical, cunning leadership, isn't just preying randomly. It's actively, strategically subverting ISIL's security apparatus, using its own systems against itself, like a cancer growing within the host.
Al-Jabari's tactics make it even harder.
Absolutely. After his forced conversion, remember, he stopped the random flayings that drew attention. Instead, he strategically recruited ISIL officers, targeting the desperate, the ambitious, using ISIL prisoners as sacrifices, bringing them to the father's lair beneath Nineveh.
Nineveh, the ancient Assyrian capital.
The very same. This method allowed the cult to grow steadily, often one member a day, and infiltrate key positions within ISIL, turning their own forces into unwitting agents of the father.
And he exploited the desperation as Mosul was being besieged.
Expertly. As Iraqi and Kurdish forces closed in, creating this atmosphere of widespread desperation, inevitable defeat among ISIL fighters, al-Jabari presented the father of war as a god that promised not just victory but endless blood to those who served it.
A dark alternative to annihilation.
Exactly. Seductive. Appealed directly to the most zealous, the most desperate among the jihadis, turned them into eager recruits, hungry for any promise of power or survival, no matter the cost.
And the lair itself, in the ruins of Nineveh, what's that like?
The father's primary lair is deep within the ruins. Here it has carved the very walls and ceilings into gruesome reliefs.
Carved them with what? Itself.
Presumably. These aren't just crude etchings, they depict its long, bloody history, showing how it subtly, or not so subtly, led mankind to perfect the art of bloodletting. Burning cities, flayed humans. It's all there.
A history of horror written in stone.
And there's an abattoir-like chamber with a central pit plunging 50 meters into darkness. That's where the father makes its lair. The air in this chamber, our sources describe, is thick with aerosolized blood and skin. A mist of horror. The stench is overwhelming.
Definitely not a 5-star tourist destination, then. The sheer visceral horror. It sounds almost designed to break you down mentally before it even touches you physically.
That could well be part of its effect, yeah.
So the final battlefield is an ancient site, steeped in thousands of years of human history and conflict, now used as a den of ritualistic slaughter. What are the practical options for fighting this thing? Given the military and occult realities, what are the difficult choices Operation Bone Box faces?
The sources outline several approaches, each fraught with its own unique risks, rewards, reflecting the impossible choices in such a dire operation. No easy answers here at all.
Like what? Can they just go in guns blazing?
Firstly, a conventional assault against the Sons of War. It would be a massive undertaking, likely require external support, special operations teams. But a key consideration is maintaining absolute secrecy.
Suppressed weapons.
Crucial. Because if the firefight is too loud, too prolonged, regular ISIL forces would quickly converge, overwhelm the area. Mission compromise, potential catastrophe. Without careful diversions, such an assault would be suicidal.
Okay, so direct assault is tricky. What about bombing it?
An airstrike. One of the easiest options in a war zone like Mosul, where air superiority is often maintained. If the program's case officer can be convinced of the lair's exact location, the father's presence, an airstrike could be requisitioned. However,
like bombing Nineveh.
Exactly. Bombing thousands-year-old archaeological ruins carries immense international political costs. Risks globally exposing the program, something they desperately want to avoid. It's a choice between immediate, quiet destruction and massive geopolitical fallout.
Are there darker options?
Chemical weapons are another dark consideration mentioned. Highly effective, quiet, could theoretically neutralize the cult and the father without widespread noise or open combat.
The international outcry would be enormous.
Immense scrutiny, yeah. Globally exposing Operation Bone Box, the program. Violating international treaties, creating a humanitarian crisis, and acquiring them would likely mean stealing them from ISIL's own stockpiles. An incredibly dangerous mission in itself. The ethical, strategic dilemmas are profound.
What about more subtle approaches, turning ISIL against the cult?
Informing on al-Jabari to another branch of ISIL's security services, turning their own paranoia against them. It's incredibly risky, though. Without undeniable hard evidence, ISIL would likely dismiss it as Western propaganda.
Even with evidence?
If it came from enemy sources, they might discount it due to their own biases. Plus, the Vigil of Stone prevents al-Jabari from talking under torture. They couldn't extract intel. And if he were captured and the cult scattered, the father would simply teach the summoning ritual to more Sons of War, who would then disperse globally, spreading the horror even further, achieving his ultimate goal, maybe.
So capturing the leader might actually make things worse.
Oh, okay. What about neutralizing the father itself using that arcane knowledge?
Beyond tactical engagement, yes. Specific arcane ways. Direct sunlight exposure, blasting open the lair, could banish it, but needs to be sudden, overwhelming. If it senses the light, it digs deeper, escapes, like a shadow retreating.
The elder sign.
Can be used as a temporary reward. Engraving it around the pit could hold the father at bay for a brief time. But cultists would eventually destroy it, or the father would grind away the earth, create another exit. It's a delaying tactic, not a permanent solution.
Which brings us back to the ritual. The closing of the brooch. The father of war, ritual. The most promising method for permanent success. But again, the challenge is performing it close by without being slain by the father or its sons.
And even then, the throne of blood remains.
The M4 itself, yes. That gate to the court of Azathoth. Even if the father is banished, the throne could allow it or something else to manifest again. The fight for containment, it seems it's never truly over.
This whole scenario is just a desperate race against time and an unimaginable evil. Whether it's direct assault, ancient ritual, complex intelligence games, the stakes are global. What's truly fascinating is this combination of brutal force and arcane knowledge, all directed at a single terrifying target that capitalizes on human conflict, uses our own divisions against us.
It really highlights a terrifying symbiosis, doesn't it?
So we've explored the intricate layers of Mosul in 2016, from the geopolitical machinations of ISIL and the various, often conflicting intelligence agencies, to the horrifying ancient entity known as the Father of War and its fanatical cult, the Sons of War. What began as a routine ISIL propaganda mission unearthed a terror that threatens not just a city, but potentially the very fabric of reality, feeding insatiably on the chaos of human conflict.
We've seen how human curiosity, desperation, even zealotry can unwittingly unleash forces beyond comprehension, and how clandestine organizations like Delta Green struggle to contain them, relying on this fragile network of allies, forbidden knowledge, blending ancient rituals with modern espionage. It really raises an important question, doesn't it?
Which is?
In a world already consumed by human conflict, by political sectarian divides, how much worse could things truly get if the truly alien, the truly ancient, begins to stir and feed on that very chaos, subtly pulling the strings of our darkest impulses?
The sources paint such a stark picture. The chaos of human war provides fertile ground for the monstrous. And for those trying to fight it, that line between saving the world and losing your own humanity, your own sanity, it's dangerously thin. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other ancient horrors lie dormant beneath the world's most unstable regions, just patiently waiting for humanity to tear itself apart, creating the perfect conditions for their reawakening?
A deeply unsettling thought to end on.
Thank you for joining us on this unsettling exploration.
Always fascinating, if disturbing, stuff.
This has been the Uncanny Valley Podcast. We'll be back soon with more strange and unsettling stories to explore.